Every week somebody asks me if they should sell their GMC. I don't ask the miles or the trim. I ask what engine's in it. That one answer decides keeper or money pit. I'm Dale. Here's the truth nobody wants you to hear. Two GMC trucks can sit side by side. Same year, same miles, same clean paint. And one is worth holding forever, while the other is quietly setting you up to pay your mechanic's mortgage. The badge is identical. What's under the hood is not. So before you list it or trade it, here are the three engines that make people want to sell, and the three you'd be a fool to let go. Let's start with the worst one out there right now. Money pit number one, and it's the trap of the current generation, the DFM engines. That's the 5.3 L84 and the 6.2 L87 from 2019 on. If you've got a newer GMC, listen close, because this is the one catching owners off guard right now. DFM stands for Dynamic Fuel Management, and it's GM's evolution of the old cylinder deactivation idea. Here's why it's worse than what came before. The old AFM system deactivated 4 cylinders. DFM can deactivate on a rolling basis using all 16 lifters. The whole valve train is in play, cycling in and out constantly. More lifters involved, more cycling, more chances for one to fail. And they do fail. I've seen these let go early. Reports of collapse at 27,000, 40,000, 50,000 miles. There's a cluster of trouble around build dates from late 2020 into early 2021. When one of those lifters collapses and takes the camshaft with it, you're looking at $3,000 to $7,000 to make it right. And that's not even the whole story on the 6.2 L87. The newest ones had a bottom-end bearing problem serious enough that GM issued a recall covering roughly 600,000 trucks. That's a manufacturing issue in the rotating assembly itself, not something you drove it into. So here's the honest read. If you own a DFM truck, you're not doomed, but you are carrying the most fragile engine GM currently builds, and you need to stay on top of it. Make sure your recall work is done. Watch it closely. This is the one that makes people want to sell, and I understand why. Money pit number 2 is the classic, the AFM 5.3. That's the Gen 5 L83 from 2014 through 2018, and the Gen 4 LMG before it. This is the original cylinder deactivation problem, and it's put more 5.3s on my lift than almost anything. Active fuel management shuts down 4 of the 8 cylinders under light load. The lifters on those cylinders are the weak point. On the 2014 through 2018 trucks, there's a well-documented cluster of lifter failures right around 119,000 miles. When a lifter collapses and scores the cam lobe, same story as the DFM engines, $3,000 to $7,000. And these engines tend to burn oil as they age, which runs the level low and speeds the whole failure along. Now here's the part I have to be straight with you about, because there's a lot of bad advice out there. Yes, a disabler that shuts off the AFM keeps all 8 cylinders firing and prevents future lifter cycling. But, and this matters, a disabler does not repair wear that's already started. If your lifters are already on their way out, shutting off the AFM today doesn't undo the damage that's been accumulating. It stops the clock going forward. It doesn't turn it back. Install it early, before there's a problem, and it's genuine protection. Install it after the tick starts, and you may just be slowing down a failure that's already in motion. The owners on the forums who track this stuff will tell you the years to be careful with are roughly 2007 through 2010 and 2014 through 2018. If that's your 5.3, you've got a money pit tendency. Manageable if you catch it early, expensive if you don't. The maintenance schedule that keeps the good ones alive. The real intervals GM doesn't print in the owner's manual. That's the heart of my GMC blueprint. Links in the description if you want it. One more money pit, then the good news. Money pit number 3 is subtler, and it's a specific engine in specific years. The LC9 5.3, roughly 2011 through 2014. This one doesn't grenade dramatically. It bleeds you slowly, through oil. The LC9 has a documented oil consumption problem rooted in the piston rings. These engines drink oil, and GM's official position was that burning up to a quart every 2,000 miles is normal. Let me tell you as a guy who's built engines for 28 years, a quart every 2,000 miles is not normal. It's a design problem, and it got serious enough that it went to court. The Securos class action against GM settled in 2025, with eligible owners getting somewhere around $3,380, covering the LC9 in the 2011 through 2014, Silverado, Sierra, Suburban, Tahoe, and Yukon. The danger with the LC9 isn't a sudden bang. It's that the oil burning runs the engine low without the owner noticing. And low oil on any engine is how you spin a bearing. If you've got one of these, the move is simple. Check your oil level religiously, top it off, and look into whether you qualify for that settlement. It's the quiet money pit, the one that costs you slowly if you're not watching. And that's what makes it dangerous. The DFM and AFM engines announce themselves with a tick, but the LC9 just sips oil and says nothing until the day the level drops too far and a bearing lets go. I've seen owners who never missed a scheduled oil change get bitten, simply because the engine was drinking a quart between those changes and nobody was checking in between. On an LC9, the dipstick is your best friend. And here's the honest part. A truck that burns oil isn't automatically a truck to dump. An LC9 that's watched and topped off can run a long time. The ones that die are the ones whose owners assumed a modern engine doesn't need checking between changes. Check it, and you rob this money pit of most of its bite. Now here's the thing I want you to really understand, because it changes how you think about your truck entirely. Your GMC isn't a truck, it's an engine. The leather, the touchscreen, the wheels, the trim level on the tailgate, that's all furniture arranged around the engine. You can swap every bit of it. Torn seat? Reupholster it. Cracked screen? Replace it. Faded wheels? Buy new ones. All of that is cheap and easy relative to what really matters. What you cannot cheaply swap is the engine. That's the heart of the whole machine, and it's the one thing that decides whether your truck is worth 100,000 more miles or worth nothing at all. And this is exactly where most owners get it backwards. When they think about selling, they obsess over the miles and the trim and how the interior looks. The owners who make the right call look at one thing: what's under the hood. Get that one answer right, and everything else is just furniture. I've watched people sell a perfectly good non-FM truck because the seats were worn and the screen looked dated, and turn around and buy a shinier truck with a money pit engine under the hood. They traded the one thing that mattered for a nicer set of furniture. Don't be that owner. Read the engine first. Those are the three that make people sell. Now the three you'd be crazy to let go. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell, because I'm about to tell you which one you're sitting on. Keeper number 1 is the rare gem, the 6.2 L92 and L9H. These are the Gen 4 6.2s, and they're the engine to hold on to if you want big power without the modern trap. Here's what makes them special, and let me be clear because people constantly get this wrong. The L92 and L9H have no active fuel management. None. They're port injected, they have variable valve timing, and they make serious power, but without the cylinder deactivation that plagues the newer 6.2s, and without the direct injection carbon problem either. Port injection means fuel washes the back of the intake valves clean on every cycle, so you never get the carbon buildup that chokes a Gen 5 engine. It's big block adjacent power with real durability underneath it. These are getting rare and sought after for exactly that reason. If you've got an L92 or L9H, you're sitting on the 6.2 that GM should have kept building. Don't sell it. You found these in the Denali, the Yukon, the Escalade, the higher content trucks and SUVs, and a lot of them were cared for. When one comes across my lift at 200,000 miles, it's almost always the same story. Strong compression, clean valves, a valve train with no failure mode designed into it. That's a rare thing in a modern engine that makes this kind of power. And it's exactly why the people who know these hunt for them. And the supply only shrinks. GM stopped building the non-AFM 6.2 years ago, and everyone that gets wrecked or worn out is one fewer on the road. That's the quiet math behind a keeper. Scarcity plus demand. The truck you're thinking about selling might be worth more to the right buyer than the dealer will ever offer you on trade, which is one more reason to think hard before you let it go. And while we're here, an honorable mention that belongs in the keeper conversation, the 8.1 Big Block, 496 cubic inches, all iron, never had AFM, a torque monster built for towing. It's a cult engine, thirsty and heavy, but mechanically, it's a keeper if you've got a real tow rig and you love it. Nobody's selling an 8.1 because the engine wore out. They sell it because of the fuel bill. And if you can live with that, it'll out-tow and outlast almost anything. Parts are getting harder to find, so if you love yours, hold it. Keeper number 2 is the people's champion, the 5.3 LM7, the Gen 3 engine from before 2007. Ask the owners who've been through every version of the 5.3 which one they'd keep, and the answer comes back over and over: the pre-07, non-AFM LM7. Here's why it earns that. Iron block, port injection, no active fuel management, nothing to collapse, nothing to score the cam, none of the failure modes that define the money pit 5.3s. It routinely runs 250 to 350,000 miles. It's the most common truck engine GM ever built, which means parts are everywhere and cheap, and any shop in the country knows it inside and out. The LM7 is underrated precisely because it's ordinary. It doesn't make headlines, it just refuses to quit. If that's what's under your hood, you've got a genuine keeper hiding in plain sight. And here's the quiet advantage nobody thinks about. Because the LM7 is everywhere, keeping it alive costs almost nothing. A sensor, a water pump, even a whole replacement long block if you ever needed one, is cheap and on the shelf at any store in the country. That's a kind of durability that never shows up on a spec sheet. The durability of never being stuck, never being gouged, never hunting for a part that doesn't exist. The LM7 has it in spades. And it wasn't just in the trucks. This engine powered the Tahoes, the Yukons, the Suburbans, the vans, millions of them, run hard for years and still going. That ubiquity is why the whole performance world builds on this engine, and why a clean one holds its value. An LM7 isn't exciting, and that's the entire point. Exciting engines break. The boring, everywhere dead simple ones are the ones still running when the flashy stuff is long gone. And keeper number 3, the supreme one, the engine you'd be a fool to sell under any circumstances, the non-AFM 6.0. The LQ4, the LQ9, and the HD L96. This is the best of everything the other keepers offer, stacked into one engine. Iron block, no active fuel management, no direct injection, port injection keeping the valves clean. A bottom end so overbuilt for the job that at 200,000 miles, it's barely broken in. These engines are documented running 500 to 700,000 miles, and the aftermarket for them is enormous and cheap because it's an LS. Parts everywhere, knowledge everywhere, and a clear upgrade path if you ever want more. The beauty of this engine is that it doesn't ask much of you. No exotic maintenance, no failure mode waiting to ambush you, no gimmick to break. It's simplicity that wins. Plain and simple, the same lesson every keeper on this list teaches. The fewer systems an engine has, the fewer ways it can cost you, and the longer it runs. That's the whole secret, and the 6.0 is the purest expression of it GM ever built. And here's the part that matters: if you're thinking about selling, they're not making these anymore. Every year that goes by, the clean, non-AFM 6.0 gets rarer and more valuable. If you've got one, you're not holding a used truck, you're holding an appreciating asset. Do not sell it. Let me put it in plain terms, because I want this to land. The non-AFM 6.0 is overbuilt like the big block, but lighter and easier to feed. It's simple, like the LM7, but with more muscle and an even tougher bottom end. It has no deactivation to fail, no direct injection to carbon up, no gimmick engineered in to break. When I open one at high mileage, the crosshatch is still on the cylinder walls, and the bearings still read like new. This is the engine other engines get compared to. If yours has one, the smartest financial decision you can make is to keep it, maintain it, and drive it for the next 200,000 miles. Because whatever you'd replace it with almost certainly has more ways to fail and costs more to fix when it does. Think about what the market's actually telling you. A clean, non-AFM 6.0 truck holds its price the way few used vehicles do, precisely because the people who understand engines know what it is. You're not fighting depreciation the way you would with a complicated modern truck. You're holding one of the last simple, unkillable V8s GM ever built, at a time when everything new is more complex, not less. That's not a truck you dump. That's a truck you pass down. I mean that literally. A clean, non-AFM 6.0 is the truck I'd want my own kid driving in 10 years, because I know it'll still be running, and I know he'll be able to afford to fix it. There is no higher compliment I can pay a machine than that. So how do you know which one you've actually got? and whether it's healthy. 2 things. First, figure out your engine. The 8th digit of your VIN identifies the engine, and the RPO code on the sticker in your glove box or driver's door jamb spells it out exactly. Look it up. That tells you keeper or money pit in 30 seconds. Second, the cold start test. Let the truck sit overnight, stone cold. Then start it and listen hard to the first 15 to 30 seconds. A metallic tick or rattle that fades away as the engine warms up is the warning sign. That's often AFM or DFM lifter wear starting to show itself. A healthy engine settles into a smooth idle quickly and stays quiet. That cold tick is the engine telling you the clock is running. Don't let a seller, or your own wishful thinking, explain it away as, "They all do that." A healthy GM V8 does not tick on a cold start. If it does, that's information, and it belongs in your decision, whether you're deciding to sell, to fix, or to hold. And do the VIN and RPO homework before anything else, because it costs you nothing, and it settles the whole question. That 8th digit and that 3-character RPO code turn, I think it's a 5-3, into, I know exactly what I have, and whether it's the good one. 30 seconds of looking beats 30 years of guessing, and it's the first thing I'd do on any GM truck before I made a single decision about its future. And if you've got a money pit engine that's still healthy, the move is to delete the AFM before it fails, not after. Get ahead of it. But remember what I told you. A disabler prevents future wear. It doesn't repair damage that's already begun. If the tick's already there, get it looked at before you spend money on a fix that might be too late. One more thing, because the engine isn't the only heart in the truck. The transmission matters too. On the keeper side, the 4L80E and the 6L80 are proven, tough, and cheap to service. Those are transmissions you can trust. On the money pit tendency side, watch the 8L90, which had a shutter problem GM addressed with a triple flush service bulletin, and the 10L80, which takes Dexron ULV, not the older fluid, and has its own torque converter shutter. Any transmission that's gone unserviced at high mileage is a risk, keeper engine or not. Keep the fluid fresh and the right spec, and even the trickier transmissions will go the distance. The mistake I see is owners who never touch the transmission because nobody told them to. GM called some of these fill for life, and that's how you cook one. Fresh fluid at the right interval is the cheapest insurance on the truck, and it's the difference between a transmission that matches the engine's lifespan and one that quits at half of it. The 4L80E in particular is one of the toughest automatics GM ever built. Fleets run them past 500,000 miles, so if your keeper engine is backed by one of those, you've got a powertrain that'll go as far as you're willing to maintain it. Match a keeper engine to a well-kept transmission, and you've got a truck that has no real reason to ever leave your driveway. So here's the bottom line, and it's the one thing I want you to carry out of this video. Don't ask the miles, ask the engine. If you've got a non-AFM 60, an LM7, or an L92, you're sitting on a keeper, and you should not sell it. They're not making them anymore, and it's worth more every year. And if you want the exact maintenance that keeps these engines alive past 500,000 miles, that's my GMC blueprint. One PDF, no mechanic, no lift, links in the description. Hit subscribe. Next week I'm naming the one upgrade that turns a keeper into a forever truck. See you then.